to my Middle-Earth movies ranking. Yes, this is a big one. This is a really big one. Now sorry this video has been a little bit delayed. I've been sort of taking my time in trying to, write down my list. I'm not gonna, I didn't want to draw out the video too long, but I just wanted to, spend time really confirming my choices. I've got them written down here, so I'll put that down there. I just want people to bear in mind before I go in and begin ranking these movies. I love every single one of these films on the list. I think they're brilliant, all of them, all 6 of them. So this list is quite a difficult one for me. I've not really been put in this kind of a position before where I've had to kind of rank one of my favourite film series and, all of them be nearly on the same level. So, in that sense, it was quite a challenge. But I just want to also get out that this is my opinion, so please respect it. This is a subjective list. The list is not objective. Hang on. Yes, just want to bear in mind this list is subjective, it's not objective. I'm not saying these are the Middle-Earth movies you should rank in this order, but it's my order. So, I hope if you disagree, you can respect my opinion. I'd appreciate that, and you can get some enjoyment out of this video. So, let's begin. Number 6, this one actually probably wasn't too hard to rank. I feel really bad about putting this one at the bottom because, I do love it. I think it's a great film, but one of them had to go at the bottom, and it was going to be this one. So number 6 is The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey.
Long ago, when lanterns burnt, until this day, our hearts have yearned, a fate unknown, the Ark stone, what was stolen.
Yes, part 1 of the Hobbit trilogy. For me, something about it always says to me, it's the worst. It's always been the worst, I think. Even the reviews have always kind of slated it. I don't necessarily agree as strongly with some of the reviews that people put out there. I don't mind the running time. I think the reason why I think An Unexpected Journey is the worst is really because of the little kind of story that it is adapting. It is obviously, it does explain the backstory and stuff, but it's more build-up. There's not much of the actual plot that kicks in until, towards the end. It doesn't flow as seamlessly as the others. I do like the movie. I think it's a great film. It is packed with action, packed with laughs. It is funny. It is probably... I kind of feel like it's a bummer putting this down here because it probably is one of the funniest in the series. With the dwarves and all that, and the trolls scene. It does take a while to get going, but I don't necessarily have a problem with it doing that. The extra appendice stuff is nice. It does feel long. It does feel like a long film. Chapters 1 to 6 of The Hobbit. The ambition to make that into one film is amazing. They've done a great job. But for me, it's not as exciting as the other ones, and I think that's kind of why it's the worst. It does have excitement, but it's mainly in the second half. I think the first half is build up. The troll scene is great. That's really exciting. I love that. And the Gollum scene, I could have watched that for ages. That was, I could have potentially put this at number 5, this movie, but, I kind of, in terms of quality, I think this one doesn't have the quality of the other 5 films, so I'm really sorry, but it's down here. Although, I have to say, amazing soundtrack by Howard Shore, and direction is great by Peter Jackson, as always. Right, I'm going to move on, for the sake of this video not being too long. Number 5. This again was quite a hard one. I was flip-flopping between 5 and 6 for these two. But number 5, is actually the most recent Middle-Earth film, and it's the last one. It is the Battle of the Five Armies.
To the sea, to these memories I will hold. With your blessing I will go to turn and last to paths that lead home.
So yeah, the Battle of the Five Armies. Just to stress, this is a great film. I love it. I mean, it's a superb movie. I mean, something I forgot to mention in my review, I kind of agree with Labyrinth 35. I kind of wish that we'd opened with a flashback. It would have been nice to kind of see a flashback of Thorin, you know, when he was in his youth, you know, like when his grandfather, when he saw his grandfather succumbing to, you know, dragon sickness, as they call it. We saw elements of that in the prologue of An Unexpected Journey, but it would have been nice to explore it, because we just kind of dive straight into the action with Smaug attacking Lake Town, which I don't mind. A lot of people said, oh, why didn't they just stick it on the end of Desolation of Smaug, which I thought, well, I think it works better as an opening, to be honest. I mean, the end of Desolation of Smaug works really well as a cliffhanger. I think to follow that with the attack on Lake Town would have been a bit of an anti-climax, you know, and whatnot, but this movie is pretty epic. I mean, you know, there is no question about it. It is epic. It is definitely the most gritty of the Hobbit films. I mean, it does play more to sort of a Lord of the Rings tone. I mean, it is a war epic, and there is no question about that. It is a war epic, and it's called the Battle of the Five Armies. You know, there is not much else to say. Elements of this don't work. The love story doesn't particularly work, which is kind of why it's gone down a peg. There is a lot of action. The battle is quite drawn out, but I don't mind that. I mean, because there is purpose to the battle, there is emotional drive to the battle. It is spectacular from beginning to end. I mean, there's a nice build-up in the mountain, you know, with, you know, showing the corruption of Thorin and Bilbo's friendship to Thorin sort of being tested up there. The Dol Guldur scene was very brief, but it was excellent. It was really good. It could have been they could have stretched it out a bit. I mean, they'll probably do that for the extended cut, add more bits in there. But no, the battles are amazing. Billy Connolly was funny. Smaug, for his brief appearance, was very good. I think Richard Armitage gives his best performance as Thorin. The guy is so underrated. He gets no credit in the reviews for The Hobbit. Like, he gets no credit. I mean, you know, seriously, rewatch the Hobbit trilogy and then have a look back and you'll see, actually, he's really good. I mean, yeah, Martin Freeman's great too, and Ian McKellen's great too as Gandalf, but Richard Armitage, give the guy a pat on the back. Wow. It's a very emotional film. There are some sad moments towards the end. And, you know, it is a movie with character development. I like Bard's leadership role. He becomes the master of Lake Town. The scope of this movie is bigger than the first two, and it definitely sets the stage for the events of Lord of the Rings. What I love about this movie is that there is a conflict that is intrinsically massive. There is an intrinsic conflict over this Arkenstone, over this mountain. Like 5 different factions come together, and it's big. I mean, wow. I mean, just the scale of the battle as well, and just the tension that is arising. You know, you have the dwarves and Thorin's company of the dwarves. You know, you have Billy Connolly's dwarves of the Iron Hills. You have the elves. You have the orcs, and you have men of the Lake Town. That's 5 armies. I mean, I guess the eagles kind of come in at some point towards the end, but yeah, no. I mean, that in itself, even just talking about it, you feel the tension. I mean, it's interesting to really see Thorin's descent into corruption and madness. You know, he's mad for the gold, you know, and it really brings the others down. I loved seeing that, and it added tension to the story. I mean, and yes, it all leads to like the big final confrontation. Howard Shore's music is superb, best of the trilogy. It's at number 5 because I don't think it has quite the grandeur that Return of the King has, or the other Lord of the Rings has, because I don't know. something about it, I don't know, I just put it at number 5 because I think in terms of quality, it's not as gripping. I mean, it is great. I mean, it's a great film. I mean, paced really well, but it was quite heavy on the battles. I mean, the battle got a little bit drawn out. I mean, Alfred could have had a bit less screen time. I mean, I think Alfred was kind of overused in this film. I mean, I didn't mind Alfred per se, but I mean, it was kind of funny when he was dressed as a woman, but I thought there was no real purpose to him having all that screen time. It just seemed a bit pointless. I mean, in the Desolation of Smaug, we see him like twice, and you know, it's fair enough, but Battle of the Five Armies is like, oh wow, you're still on the screen. You've had at least half an hour of screen time. Yeah, I mean, it's just thrilling from beginning to end. It's a nice ending. It wraps up the trilogy nicely, connects the saga, ties into Lord of the Rings really well. Not going to spoil that, but it definitely, when it delivers, but there are a couple of things that do kind of drag it down, like the love story. I just don't, we don't need it. I mean, the two actors, Evangeline Lilly and Aidan Turner both do a good job with what they have, but the two characters barely interact. So, it's not like Aragorn and Arwen where, they're separated, but with, because Aragorn's on the quest, she's being told to go into the Undying Lands. She's waiting for him. I mean, this is kind of different. Tauriel's on her own sort of thing. Legolas is like, well, let's go to Gundabad and get Bolg. And, they only see each other like a couple of times in the film. I mean, I believed the love story more in the Battle of Five Armies, but because in the Desolation of Smaug, they have that one scene together, and then, when she's healing his wound as well towards the end, and that's it. There's nothing else. I mean, it's kind of tacked on. I mean, I liked it, but there's room for more development. But yeah, no, I just, a couple of things did drag it down, hence the, putting it at number 5. But I do love the film. I think it's a great film. It beats An Unexpected Journey in terms of, that there's more action and there's more kind of emotions. Although An Unexpected Journey had the speech about Bilbo going home, so that was Bilbo's, home, which is cool. Okay, number 4 is, well, you're probably going to guess what it is. It is my favourite film of the Hobbit trilogy, and it is The Desolation of Smaug.
Inside the mountain I see fire, burning the trees, and I see fire, hollow in soul, I see fire, blood in the breeze, and I hope that you remember me.
Oh my gosh, The Desolation of Smaug is awesome. I mean, the first movie, I walked out, I went, that was great fun. It was a really good time. I mean, it wasn't quite what I expected, but I enjoyed it. The second one, holy crap. Desolation of Smaug just proved to me that Peter Jackson's still got it. I mean, it's such a kinetic film in the sense that there is a lot of pace to the movie. A lot more happens. And, I mean, it's that middle chunk of the book, so naturally there's more that's going to happen. They do add loads of stuff that isn't in the book, which I think works. I mean, they spend a long time in Lake Town, which I don't really mind. They get on with the first act quite quickly, with Beorn, they zoom through that bit and the spiders, and then when we get to Lake Town, kind of slow down a bit, and then there's just so much excitement in The Desolation of Smaug. It's a 2-hour, 40-minute film, and it moves really quickly. And it all builds up to that excitement when we see Smaug in his lair. And, some of those scenes with Bilbo and Smaug could potentially be the best of the trilogy. I said this in my Hobbit reflection. But, wow, I mean, Cumberbatch's Smaug, he's superb. I mean, this is the best of the trilogy simply because there's the most excitement. I mean, there's more action, which is good. I mean, it's not as slow as... Well, An Unexpected Journey was kind of slow, but it worked in its favour. This movie explores different kind of cultures, I guess, kind of like The Two Towers did, but we get to see Beorn, who's a skin changer, we get to see the spiders of Murk, we get to see the wood elves, we get to see the men of Lake Town. I love the scenes with Thranduil, he's great. I mean, we see him more in the third film, but he's good in the second film. Legolas is back and he's pretty stubborn, to be honest. Again, the love story between Keely and Tauriel, or Tilly, or Cariel, however you want to ship that. It's kind of unnecessary. I mean, it's not badly done. It's just underdeveloped. I mean, the scene in the prison is when they're talking in the prison is cell is quite nice. I mean, it's cute. I mean, it's just something for fangirls to go, aww, and you know, obviously makes it more tragic for the third film. I mean, but I mean, my only real problems with Desolation of Smaug is kind of the CGI. I mean, some of it's overused, kind of like the first one was a little bit overused. Like, I don't really have many issues with the Desolation of Smaug. I mean, could have spent a bit more time with Gandalf, but I thought it was fine. I mean, I haven't seen the extended version, so oh yeah, my only real criticism is that Beorn is far too brief. Like, I mean, I know the extended version we're getting more scenes with Beorn, but for the theatrical cut, I just thought they zoomed through the scene with Beorn really quickly. I thought we could have spent a bit more time with Beorn, but because I really like his character. In the book, he's really different. He's this really aggressive kind of, like, he's like, oh, so he's impatient. But in the movie, he's much more sort of sinister. He's like, I don't like dwarves. You know, he's very kind of, not creepy, just kind of like tense. Like, he's quite an educator. He's like, go now while you have the light. Like, I interesting the way that the character kind of, the actor portrays the character. Different to the book, but quite good. A lot of action, obviously. Desolation of Smaug is great on action. Great soundtrack. Visually quite stunning. I mean, although kind of overuse of CGI, kind of is like, takes you out a little bit, because it's like, well, the Lord of the Rings went all out with the prosthetics and the makeup, so have some of the orc CGI is... Don't get me wrong, Azog looks cool and Bolg. Azog doesn't do much, and neither does Bolg, so it's kind of the downside really for me, but yeah, no, it's a much more exciting film. The barrel sequence is great, all the action sequences are superb. I mean, that barrel sequence is probably the best one. I mean, but yeah, no, it's such an exciting film, and the ending is amazing. Really, that cliffhanger is superb, and it's one of those yes and no endings. You're left wanting more, but you're also annoyed that they ended it there. I actually no, it's kind of annoying they ended it there, because you'd have to wait a year for the third one, but I thought to myself afterwards, I was like, I knew they were going to end it there. I just knew it, because I'd read the book, obviously, so yeah. Desolation of Smaug, not much else to say. Well, check out my review if you want a more in-depth talk, a more in-depth discussion about it, on my thoughts. I have reviewed all 6 of these films, so if you want to check them out, then they're in a Middle-Earth playlist that I've made, so yeah, just click on that and you'll be fine. It's not quite a masterpiece. It doesn't really hold up to Lord of the Rings, but for me, it is the best of the Hobbit trilogy, and it probably always will be. So yeah, I can't wait to watch the extended version. I'll probably do a little talk about that if I get it for Christmas. Okay, number 3. Number 3 is, well, of course, we're dipping into the Lord of the Rings trilogy now, and we're going right back to the beginning with the Fellowship of the Ring. Well, tell me this movie's not awesome. I mean, The Fellowship of the Ring is a masterpiece. Undoubtedly a masterpiece. One of, the best opening to a trilogy I could ever see. We open with that amazing battle scene, sweeping cinematography, and, it's superb. I mean, the story is just so original, it's a complex story. I mean, it's not just about Frodo destroying the ring. There are other plot threads that weave in and out with other characters, but this is awesome. Now that we have the Hobbit trilogy done, all of that will lead to this film, and that will serve as a great build-up. I mean, the first half of the movie is a build up. I mean, we spend a while in the Shire, but I don't mind that. I think, you know, we need to sit down and fully get to grips with the story, spend time understanding the story, and you know, the Shire's a beautiful place. Why not spend time in the Shire? And yeah, Frodo, I'm not particularly a big fan of Frodo, to be honest. I mean, he's okay. I mean, Elijah Wood plays him really well, but the character's a bit of a wuss. I mean, I know he's burdening the ring, but he can't fight very well, and he keeps getting stabbed all the time, which is kind of my issue with Frodo. I mean, all the characters are great. I mean, Gandalf, Ian McKellen rocks the part. I mean, like, I love the formation of the Fellowship, the Council of Elrond scene. I nearly said the White Council. Sorry, Council of Elrond scene is great. I mean, and when he says, "Oh, you shall be the Fellowship of the Ring," da da da. Oh, it's superb. All the characters are great. It's visually stunning. Cinematography. This is 2001. I mean, you know, certain scenes just make me go, wow. The scenes in Moria are brilliant, and when Gandalf falls as well, it's so dramatic. I mean, the climax also is amazing, and it's all physical, it's all gritty, like, and it's realistic. It looks all so real. I mean, even now, I mean, 13 years later, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring still holds up, and it's great. For me, it's the worst of Lord of the Rings trilogy, simply because I don't think as much really happens in the first half as, like, The Two Towers or Return of the King. I mean, I don't know, it was really hard, because I love this film. It's a superb film, but I prefer kind of the darker sort of stories. Music by Howard Shaw's amazing, action sequences are superb, but for me, I prefer the other two, which is why number 2 is The Two Towers.
Where once was light, now darkness falls. Where once was love.
The Two Towers is amazing. It's out of this world. I mean, The Two Towers is brilliant. I mean, it's a movie. Some people say it's the worst of the trilogy because there's the least amount of action. Some people say it's the best of the trilogy. For me, it's the second best, slash the second worst. It's second best of the trilogy. It's such a great movie because it explores the different cultures of Middle-Earth, as well as it, you know, being this sort of build up to this big epic battle at Helm's Deep, which is brilliant, by the way. I mean, we have the shots of the women and children, which you know, Jackson has wonderfully incorporated in there to give the battle a purpose. Is the fact that they're defending the women and children, and Aragorn drawing his sword, you know, that he's ready to fight. It's a brilliant film. I love the new characters. I love Eowyn. She's a great character. I love the fact she just wants to fight. She's just like, well, can't I fight? You know, I'm a woman. I don't want to be suspended in you know, watching the women, you know, the women and children in the caves all the time. I want to be out there. I want to fight, like, with the men, you know. And obviously, you know, there's a bit of a love triangle with her and Aragorn and Arwen, but yeah, that's all right. I mean, I love seeing Rohan. That's a really, really nice place. It's like almost a really poor part of Middle-Earth. I mean, Lake Town's they're quite poor as well, but I mean, Rohan, I think, have even less. They have, you know, next to nothing. But no, and then, you know, when they're called upon to defend, they flee to the fortress, to Helm's Deep, to defend. Interestingly enough, this movie deals with the kind of the Fellowship being split into 3 different factions. You have Frodo and Sam, who are joined by Gollum, and Gollum is awesome. He's like,
"Oh, thieves, they're filthy little thieves. Where isn't my precious?"
he's really creepy, and Andy Serkis is superb, and the motion capture stuff is spot on, you know. Obviously the other 2 factions are Merry and Pippin, who've been taken by the Uruk-hai, and then they end up spending most of the film inside Fangorn Forest with the Ents, and that's a great subplot, you know, that kind of a metaphorical, you know, well, kind of the environmental plot, you know, when they're Saruman is burning the trees down for industrial purposes. He is building up his army and he's making weaponry and everything, you know. And they storm Isengard to get back on him, and that's a great plot. I love that part of the plot. And then there's Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, who are kind of the main three characters that we focus on. Well, not the main. Well, three of the main characters that we focus on. They are with Rohan. You know, they end up going with Rohan, and Gandalf comes back. There's a great transformation. There's a great sort of, you know, scene, and Theoden's transformation is awesome. I mean, Wormtongue is creepy as well. I mean, for me, The Two Towers has a lot of aspects that I don't think the other movies have. It has a lot more of the culture of Middle-earth, and it has much more. It's incredibly character-driven. I mean, it is a long movie. I mean, but if you invest in it and you come to love the characters, it moves really quickly. I mean, yeah, I mean, okay, granted, it doesn't have as much action as some of the others, but I don't think that's a problem. I really like The Two Towers. I mean, the battle is incredible, and, you know, the Warg fight is good too, but the Helm's Deep battle is awesome, and the storming of Isengard is great, you know. You know, there is action, but obviously they save most of it for Return of the King. But The Two Towers is just... God, it's good. I mean, and the ending as well is nice, you know. Well, not nice, but is well handled with Gollum and his plan. You know, it's such a good movie, and I love how they introduced Faramir as well, who's Boromir's brother. But it isn't my favourite, simply because of the epic grandeur of this movie, the sheer emotion of this movie that makes it the best, and by far, you know, most deserving of all those awards that it won. Number one is Return of the King.
Lay down your sweet and weary head. Night is falling. You've come to journey's end. Sleep.
Yeah, Return of the King it's so good. I mean, a masterpiece. It's my favourite because there's so much emotion. It is the perfect ending to this trilogy. Well, this saga actually now. I mean, interestingly. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, Return of the King is one of those movies where it's mind-blowing how good it is. I mean, just the sheer scale of the battles, I mean, but the emotions are where it hits home. I mean, you know, the scene where, you know, Frodo tells Sam to go home, I mean, apparently that's not in the book, but I thought it was a great moment because Gollum finally had a victory. It was a moment to kind of bring out the emotions. Like, Frodo is blinded, his judgment is blinded by the ring, and Sam is the one trying to keep it together. But that moment is just the moment where Sam can't do it anymore. He's, you know, after he's told to go home, that's it. Sam, he can't do any more. He's trying to keep Frodo going, but Frodo is driven mad by the ring and by Gollum, and it all ends in, it's heartbreaking. I mean, and when Sam carries him up the mountain, that is just brilliant. And he goes back to fight Shelob. I mean, scenes in Shelob's Lair are pretty intense. Just the entire movie is epic. I mean, also another emotional moment is with Faramir and Denethor when, you know, Denethor basically says his son, we wish his son was dead, instead of Boromir. It's horrible to watch. It is utterly horrible. But they act it really well. I mean, there's just so much emotion in this movie. And I love Minas Tirith. Minas Tirith is really well designed. Probably the most visually stunning of the six. Really is. The visual effects still hold up 11 years later. And the score by Howard Shore is probably his best ever. Into the West is a good song as well. Peter Jackson really improved his direction. So good. Just so good. I don't know what else to say. I mean, check out my review for further thoughts. Sorry. But yeah, no. That's pretty much it. I don't want to drag this video out any longer, so sorry if my thoughts are a bit brief in this video, but check out my reviews. So just to recap, the order of my list is number 6, An Unexpected Journey, number 5, The Battle of the Five Armies, number 4, Desolation of Smaug, number 3, The Fellowship of the Ring, number 2, The Two Towers, and number 1, Return of the King. So that's that. That's my list. What do you think of the Middle-Earth Saga? Put your comments down below, let me know. How would you rank the list? Let's compare, let's contrast. Which do you prefer, The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, or would you like them both the same? For me, I prefer Lord of the Rings, but I still love The Hobbit. I think The Hobbit is great in its own merit. So yeah, I will look forward to seeing you guys later. So I will catch you guys whenever. So thank you all for watching. As always, I'm Mr. Task 11. See ya.